Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation. We are group 4. I'm Zakiatul Fatwa and my partner Selmi Dwi Adzikra. In this video, we are going to take you back in time to explore one of the most important periods in English history. The title of our presentation is The Conquest and Feudal Rule. We have divided it into 4 main parts, so let's begin. First, we will talk about the Norman Conquest. The Norman Conquest was an invasion and occupation of England by the Normans that began in 1066 and lasted until 1071. The conquest was led by the Duke of Normandy, later titled William the Conqueror. It marked the end of Anglo-Saxon rule and the beginning of a new era in English history.
Okay, next, William the Conqueror. William I was crowned King of England on December 25, 1066 at Westminster Abbey, London. This coronation came after he defeated King Henry II of England at the Battle of Hastings on October 14, 1066. During the conquest, the Norman army built fortresses and destroyed resisting villages. Northern England was devastated and took a century to recover. Around 4,000 session landlords were replicated by only 200 Norman nobles.
Second, we will explain feudalism, the social and political system William introduced. The word feudalism comes from the French word feud, which means land in exchange for services. The basis of feudal society was land ownership, with the main purpose being economic. All land was considered to belong to the king, but was held by vassals in exchange for services and goods. Feudalism is based on two principles. Every man has a lord, and every lord has land. The king was connected through his change of people to the lowest person in the country. Each person was required to swear allegiance to his lord in a ceremony called homage, in which the vassal knelt before his lord. This tradition is still part of the coronation ceremony of British kings and queens today. In return, the lord was also obliged to provide land and to his vassal.
Okay, next, when a nobleman died, his heir had to ask permission and pay the king to inherit the land. If a minor, the king would take the proceeds of the land until the heir was old enough. If there is no heir, the land returns to the king who can keep it before giving it to another noble. As conflicts were frequent, the king needed to maintain good relations with the noble to keep them loyal and willing to fight for him. In 1085, King William I sent against to survey the entire English territory to record land ownership and tax dues. The aim was to plan the economy and determine tax potential. The survey resulted in the Domesday Book, a record that was as fixed and unalterable as a judgment on Judgment Day. This book was the result of the Great Survey, which was completed in 1086.
Third, we will look at kingship and family business. William I controlled two large territories, Normandy and England. In Normandy, he was a duke who had to submit to the French king, while in England, he was the supreme king with no lord above him. When William I died in 1087, he left the Duchy of Normandy to his eldest son, Robert, and gave England to his second son, William Rufus, so nicknamed because of his red hair and face.
William Rufus, William II, was killed in a hunting accident, so his younger brother Henry I immediately claimed the throne of England and was crowned king 10 days later. Robert, his eldest brother, invasion failed because the Norman nobles in England favored Henry. In 1106, Henry I invaded Normandy and captured Robert, reuniting Normandy and England under one ruler. Henry I left the Duchy of Normandy to his daughter Matilda. He married Matilda to Geoffrey Plantagenet, heir to the vast and strategic Anjou region in southwestern Normandy, to extend and expand the family's power. After the death of Henry I, both potential heirs were interred respective territories. Matilda was in union with her husband, while Henry I's nephew Stephen I was gathering more support from the nobles in England to claim the throne.
A civil war, the anarchy, broke out between Matilda and Stephen I. Then, in 1153, they agreed to let Stephen retain the throne on the condition that Matilda's son, Henry, could succeed him. In 1154, after Stephen died, the throne fell to Henry II, whose rule stretched from Scotland to the Pyrenees. In 1189, Henry II died broken, disillusioned, and defeated by his sons and the King of France. The throne then fell to his son, Richard I, who was nicknamed Coeur de Lion or Lionheart. He was known as the idolized image of the perfect feudal king.
Next, in 1199, Richard I was killed in France and succeeded by his brother, John, who was notorious for his greed. John failed in his duties when the French king invaded Normandy, causing the nobles to lose their lands in the region. He hoped to reclaim Normandy in 1215, but the nobles no longer trusted him. Eventually, John was forced to seek the Magna Carta.
Finally, let's talk about Magna Carta and the decline of feudalism. Magna Carta is a Latin term meaning Great Charter. It became an important symbol of political freedom and marked the beginning of the decline of feudalism. The Magna Carta was the result of a dispute between the Pope, King John, and the barons over the rights of kings, which was finally signed by King John on June 15, 1215 at Runnymede near Windsor.
Okay, next, the king promised protection to all freemen from the abuse of power by their officers, as well as the right to a fair and legal trial. At the time, probably less than a quarter of the population of England was classified as free. Most others were not free, and lived as slaves or little better than that. The main purpose of Magna Carta was to ensure that King John did not exceed his rights as a feudal lord. The nobles also ensured that King John's successors did not forget the contents and promises in this charter, so everything afterwards recognized Magna Carta.
Feudalism began to show signs of change, including first, the king initially received 40 days of combat service from nobles during war. However, 40 days was not enough time for the war in France, and the nobles refused to fight longer. So the king started paying mercenaries or solidaries. Second, rulers preferred to receive money rather than services. Third, subordinates began to change from servants to tenants of land.
Okay, next, feudalism, the use of land in exchange for service, began to weaken. The system continued to decline until in 1660 it was officially abolished in England under the Abolition of Land Tenure Act. Hundreds of years later, the Magna Carta was used by Parliament to protect itself from a powerful king. The Magna Carta Charter is held at the British Library, Salisbury Cathedral, Lincoln, the London Archives, and the National Archives Museum. So that was a brief journey through England's conquest and feudal rule. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Thank you for watching. Billahi fisabilillah, fastabikul khairat. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.